One shall stand, one shall fall.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are now on part 8 of our Prime build, and this week we do the legs. I've already started kind of engineering the legs. We have these we have to address. I broke off the little end of this one, so I'm gonna have to strip this wire. That's not a big deal because the wires for the lights are rather long, so I'm not gonna worry about that. I just have to worry about getting these through the metal tubes I'll be installing right here. So the thighs. So we're counting this as part of the thigh. I mean, it's a hip and thigh. We already got some length going there, but the thigh is going to be about. Let's move him up a bit, about 1.5 inches. So almost as long as this, if you can imagine that on either side. And then we'll be working on the lower legs, and the lower legs are a little bit more involved. I have I have these tires here. We're going to be using these tires. Here, they go together like this on the rear of the vehicle, and then you've got the hub back here. It's the other side, the hub that goes in there. We've got these center hubs that go in the center of these. These will be, let's see if I can do this. These will be like this. So imagine looking at his leg from the side. They will look like this. And we're bringing in the frame rails. And the frame rails will intersect that. I'm not sure forward, backward, but they will intersect probably more towards the front. We are going to be installing a metal rod through these. I'm going to gonna cut a little bit off the side here, make a little bit of a trench, see if we can't get that in there. They might be separated a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. One thing that I did do, see these hubs? I thought I had 4 of these hubs, but I don't, so I'm going to have to hide the backs of these with panels. And I couldn't for the life of me think of what happened to those other hubs until I looked at Prime and realized I put the hubs for his shoulders. I'm like, oh, right, that's where those went. But anyways, so yeah, frame rail will be about here. We're going to let a little bit overlap on the bottom for part of his ankle, and the top we're going to overlap till right about here because we had to put in our space dock supplied knees, and those will go right about there. And the kneecap will extend up here. That's okay because on the front of the kneecap is where I'm going to put my tail lights. So that will be there, and I think these parts are going to go on either side of here. You can see they got this nice natural curve to them because these are the gas tank or the fuel cell mounts. They go on the side like that and mount the fuel cells. So they'll have a nice natural curve to go around the kneecap. And we also have a bunch of stuff, as I showed last week. This is actually the forward engine mount, I believe, but we can put that somewhere. Yeah, just tons of gray blaze to use as fill panels. Other stuff we'll be using here, we got the 5th wheel. I'll be cutting it in half, and if you can imagine, this will be pretty much the underside of his foot. We'll be cutting this in half and using these for fill panels. The leaf springs I'm going to do something interesting with. The leaf springs, I'll be cutting these sides off and using the fronts of these essentially as fill panels for the front of this. Prime has vents on his legs, on his lower legs, and I want to recreate that, and I'm going to use the leaf springs to recreate those kind of vents that go right in here on his leg. So that's that piece. We have more leaf springs, which I'll be cutting these in half. I think this is part of the power transfer that goes in between the. I think this is in between the tires, in between these two things. Yeah, this. These two halves go together and they mount on the front of this. That's where the smaller drive shaft connects the two axles together. This is the one from the engine. This is that one. We'll be using these parts. These I think I'm going to be using as the ball of his foot because it's got that nice ball shape there. So we'll use that as the ball of his foot, or rather his ankle. We got other parts to use, filler parts, tons and tons of parts to use. We got this stuff, which is in paint. We have the mud flaps. These are actually going to be his feet, or rather his toes. And on my other prime, I masked off this area in here and painted that silver. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to do the same thing. Repeating and same thing mean the same thing. Anyways, these are, I think these are part of the frame. They go in between the frame right here. Oops, get that in camera, dummy. So yeah, we have a ton of parts. These are going to be the front of the kneecaps because this is the rear of the truck where the taillights mount. So I'll be using that. I'll be cutting that in half, using one on one side, one on the other. I don't know what that is. And we also have a bunch of chrome left over. Some of this stuff is going to go... some of this stuff I haven't put on because I just don't want to bust it off. Like we have the horns. The horns will be going on the top of his shoulders. We have this thing will be going on his back. We've got these headers we could use somewhere. These are the headers for the engine, aren't they? These are some of the hubs. These rings we'll be using somewhere. I think on his tires or on the outside of his tires. We have, I believe these are the air brakes right here. And I'm going to be putting these together and using these as kind of Foss tanks, because Prime always came with tanks on the side of his leg somewhere. So we're going to put those tanks on the side of his leg. They were the fuel cells on the truck, but we're just going to use these, I believe, air brake. And again, we have tons of stuff we haven't used yet. We have these things are going to go on the upper shoulders. Again, I'm not going to do that till after I mount the arms. These tanks, we could put this, I think this is an air tank we could put somewhere. Yeah, we have tons of parts. So I'm going to get to work on the legs. I'll be back when I got something to show. Alright, as you can see, we have these forms done for the thighs, and I'll paint it up. I created these out of styrene, put some details on them, reinforced those with a little bit of styrene in there, a little bit of a sprue in there, just to make these a little more sturdy. Yeah, they're kind of identical. I did a few changes in some places, like the backs are reversed from each other. I got these two long details on the top and bottom, and the front details are the same here. Now I'm going to be taking these rods, or tubes rather. We'll be fitting in through here, like so, and connecting this to the main body. I'm going to also have to run my wires now. Solder up my wires for my lights into the wires at the bottom of the legs. I'm going to get to work on that, get these into place, and I'll be right back. Alright, I got my tubes epoxied in, I got my wires run through and soldered into the SMDs here on both sides. I did weather up these a little bit, gave them a black wash on the bottom. And I had to drill a center hole in my kneecap to run the wires through. So that will be right there when we're done. I'm not going to attach these now. I'm going to actually have to do this a little interesting. I want the knee attached to the lower leg. I need it there because I need to know where to place the crossbar for this and the tires and everything else like that. So what I'm going to do is build the lower leg and then attach these in here, run my wire through, and then attach the lower leg with the kneecap to the upper leg. I'm going to get to work on the lower leg. Be right back. So I'm starting to work on the lower legs. Here I just have one of the tubes I'm using here. There's both of them right here. And we've got the space dock parts, the knees, and we're going to be putting in about that far. I've got the tires here. Got 2 tires, and I've carved out a little bit on each tire and a little bit on the rims so we can have a surface to mount this rod like so, and then coming back in with more tires here, putting those on the top. So this will look something like this. And again, I got this plate I'm going to be putting over that tire. Let's see here. You can see the frame rails I've cut in half, and they'll be going up in front like so. We have these, the fuel tank supports, which will be going up under these, and in between those will be our kneecaps, and I'm going to have to drill these out and mount my lights to these. So I'm getting this thing ready to cut this in half. I got both of these marked off to cut in half. This will go underneath the foot. I'll have to drill a hole in this for my rod as well, and I got, or tube rather, this will go on the front, something like that, for the toe of the foot. We also have these, which we're going to be cutting up and putting for the ankle, and then all the other various parts. So I'm going to get to work on that. I'll be right back. Alright, as you can see, I have the basic forms done for the lower part. These are all epoxied together, and there's a little bit of a lean in the legs. I'm gonna have them. Legs are kind of gonna be, if you're looking at them straight on, they're kind of gonna be slanted a little bit of A pose, and a little bit slanted inward. So a little bit more dynamic than just straight on. So now what I have to do is add all the detail parts to the edge of the leg. I've got my rails, all kinds of stuff over here. So I'm going to get to work on detailing these legs. I'll be right back. Alright, before we get back to the legs, I have to start thinking about the base. As you can see, this rod will go into a base. The foot's going to be take up about that much room. And we'll have this little extra, about 5.5 millimeters to go into the base. So I was having a conversation with Space Doc Modeling, yet again. He asked if there was anything else he could do for my build. Like he hasn't done enough already with my kneecaps and my shoulders and my center torso. A good 40 to 50% of this is his stuff. And we're talking online in a Google Hangout, and I just sort of doodled up this. And so we sat and we talked about it for a good hour about exactly what I wanted. And then he went away. And within a matter of days, actually one day, he came up with this. And he printed it out on his 3D printer. This is so much more awesome than what I had imagined. I almost didn't want to use this as a base. I almost want one of these just to have one of these. Because it is awesome. It looks like a giant circuit board, which is what I imagined, which is what the surface of the Transformers home planet Cybertron looked like in the 80s. All the drawings, it looked like just this giant bunch of circuit boards. It was really cool. So, yeah, I'm not going to sand off the serrations on this because it gives it this really interesting textured surface, which you can see in the sheen of the light. I love that. So I'm going to try not to get rid of that and get paint to stick to here. It isn't a smooth surface, if you can hear that. So the paint should adhere, and this will be a series of metal colors, light gray or silver, dark silver. These are going to be copper or gold, the circuit pattern going through here. And then I have to figure out where I'm going to mount Prime. I think I'm going to mount him at an angle just to give the base a little interest instead of it just being a square. It's more like a diamond shape if you look at him straight on. So I'm gonna get back to work with the legs, painting this. Again, thanks a million, Space Doc, because this is phenomenal. This is better than anything I could have scratch built. So let me get back to work. All right, as you can see, we have the lower leg forms done. This is all kit part. parts outside of the space dock part and the tube. So yeah, this is all kit parts. I'm still going to add some details to here. I'm still thinking about what I want to do, but yeah, this is the primary form right here. I've got my holes drilled in behind the lenses for my wires. I did make a little bit of a mistake with the wires. I should have cut these a little shorter. Now I'm going to have to figure out how to get the resistors possibly through the knee joint. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, these are the lower legs. There's the right leg, the left leg. They're pretty much symmetrical. But they are, when I mounted them, I did put a little angle into them. You can see this is angled a little bit. If I put this straight, it's angled to give the legs a little bit of A stance, a little bit of the classic gunslinger pose. So they'll be more like this than this. And also I'm going to turn them slightly like this, just to emphasize that pose. I'm also not attaching any of the feet parts, any of the bottoms of the feet, or the toes. Oops, lost the toe. I'll get that later. Because I'm going to have to figure out, because of the A stance, because they'll be spread a little bit and turned to the sides a little bit, I have to figure out how exactly these are going to go on the base to make the toes of the feet and the bottom of the feet look flat. So I may need to tilt this up, down, to the side. So we're going to wait on that. I've also been working on the base. See the base here? We got a little bit of weathering done. We got a little bit of the copper in here. It's not quite done. I did add some of the Molotov chrome pen to some of the parts here, to these here, to these guys over here. You can kind of see it a little more shiny there. I'm going to be adding some copper to some of these circuit connections along here. There's blast hits somewhere, and probably be mounted somewhere about here. And it'll be turned like this. It'll look more like a diamond than a square, just to make it look more interesting. But yeah, he'll probably be standing in between right there. So I'm going to add some blast effects, like there's been a battle or something. But yeah, this turned out pretty nice. Right there. Well, I thought I'd just mock up Prime real quick. This is not how the finished product's going to look at all. I still got to mess with his legs a bunch, but yeah, that's about how tall he's going to be. About a foot tall, maybe a little bit taller than that. He's about 8 inches wide from shoulder to shoulder, from the smokestack to smokestack. So I'm not even sure I'm going to put him on my shelf. He's kind of tall. He's kind of taller than the shelf I normally put stuff on, so he might have to go somewhere else. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Next week we'll be completing the legs and working some more on the base. Maybe get started on those hands that have been missing. I want to thank everyone for watching, and you guys take care.